Welcome back to What You'll Learn. My name is Adam Ashton.
My name is Adam Jones. Today we are
cooked there.
Mate, we're fucking...
It's the end of year review episode, and we thought we'd follow in the same footsteps as the one we did back in May for the end of season 1. Got a fucking big burger.
Again.
And we've gone hard on the bevs already.
Yeah, I think last time we started recording a bit earlier.
Yeah.
This time we're a little bit further down the track. But at the same time, we got probably better quality books to talk about.
Oh, mate, the books this season have been phenomenal. So essentially this episode, we're going to recap the best books, the best interviews, the best songs at the end, and that's pretty much how it's going to go out.
So I think last season, man, between Feb and May, we were very weak on books.
Look, mate, when you compare the books from July to December compared to the books from Jan to June or Jan to May, it's not even a competition.
I think at the start of the year we were just trying to get interviews.
Yeah.
Right. So we were happy to compromise on book quality just to get interviews.
Yeah.
But as we've grown a bit, our book quality's grown and we haven't had to compromise to get interviews.
No, 100% agree.
Yeah.
100% agree, mate. There have been some phenomenal books. And so last time we did top 5 books. This time we tried to do a top 5 and we blew it out to a top 10. And even then, the top 10 was a struggle.
Mate, we'll get
There's
pissed
plenty
off.
of it missed out.
Even the
on
honourable
top 10.
mentions this time
are phenomenal.
Yeah.
A few announcements to kick it off. Firstly, a reminder of the competition. So you can win all 48, 50 books, however many it's going to be. We've done 26 books so far. So you can win all the 26 books that we've done since July all the way up to what we do to the end of May. You can win all of those big bad motherfuckers.
Yeah, plus 22 more that you haven't listened to yet, but they're equal in terms of value. They're fucking next level.
So a reminder, there's 3 ways to win. You can do the survey at whatyouwilllearn.com/survey, which a whole bunch of people have done, but please keep helping us out. We'll keep tweaking as we go.
Yep. Another way is to leave a review. We've gotten a few very nice reviews, but we
really appreciate those
just
reviews.
Massages our ego a little bit. But at the same time, definitely helps our ranking on iTunes. That's probably the big one. And
then the third way is to just buy a book, because obviously we love reading books, and we hope you guys can read a few books as well.
Yeah, easy stuff, yeah.
Yeah. Email us anytime, podcast@whatyouwilllearn.com.
That's it. Number 3, we set up a Patreon account.
Is that number 3? No, we only did number 1. We're up to number 2. But yeah, we'll go number 3, then we'll go number 2 after that. So we've set up this Patreon. So it's where you can put in, $1 a month just to say, you guys are doing well. I like your stuff and I want a bit more. So on that $1 a month, we're going to give you heaps of extra shit. So we're going to give you pretty much an extra episode every month or so, as well as online courses, as well as like a book we're going to write, as well as some summaries of books like that we've written up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a $1 a month, and obviously it's a big step up between just sitting here and, wherever you are right now, listening on a train. It's a big step up from that to putting your bank account in to pay $1 a month.
It is. Like $1 a month doesn't sound like much, but as we know from Predictably Irrational, the difference between $0 and $1 is massive.
Yeah. So those people who are happy to, take that big step of actually putting in details or whatever like that, then, we're going to make sure, and our promise is we're going to at least 10x your ROI, whether that's in terms of like online courses or book value or any of the stuff we got in the pipeline. You're going to get the beta version for free. Yeah,
exactly. And we want these people to if you're one of those people who really want to get in early, the top 1% of our audience, we appreciate it. We need to bounce a few ideas off you, give you the early stuff and test a few things out and give you some serious value.
Mate, and big papa time.
I guess what we've got coming up, we'll obviously review what we've done so far, but what we've got coming up, we've got some phenomenal interviews coming up and some phenomenal books coming up. So starting on I guess we'll throw it out probably on the 1st of Jan or the 31st of December, bit of New Year's resolution stuff.
Mate, my favourite book of all time. I said that, I think, about 7 Habits. But this is definitely a way to stop smoking. So it's more of a niche book.
Yeah.
But if you're a smoker or if someone you love in your life is a smoker, then this book could honestly change your life or the person's life that you love.
Yeah, mate. So I haven't finished reading it yet, but I'm almost there. Not a smoker, never have been, never will be. But mate, this is a phenomenal book. And if you're a smoker or anyone you know is a smoker, I don't see how you can read the book and not quit.
Yeah, so, that's right. Without the scare tactics and all that. What else is coming, man?
So we've got some of the books include Crossing the Chasm, The Effective Executive, which is like my new top 5 book. Loving the effective effective executive, mate. But some of the interviews we've got coming up as well are absolutely phenomenal.
Oh man, next level. We've got Kev Kelly.
So we did The Inevitable 13 months ago. And so we're going to speak to Kevin Kelly, who's a legend. Dan Pink, who we did Drive ages ago.
One in the stink. Dan Heath.
Dan Heath. So we did Switch about 6 weeks ago. They've got a brand new book called The Power of Moments. We're going to speak to Dan Heath. We got a guy called Greg McEwen who did the Essentialism book, which is awesome about people being fucking busy for no
fucking
reason.
Losers. Yeah.
And a man, Chris Krasser from Joe Rogan, who we loved listening to, and going to speak to him about a whole bunch of health stuff.
Yeah, that's it, man. Should we get into it now?
Let's get into it.
Yeah.
So, should we start with interviews or books? Books. So as we said, last time we did a top 5, it was impossible to do a top 5 for this time. We blew it out to a top 10.
Mate, it could have been a top 15.
We did 26 books in total. It probably could have been a top 20, top 24, top 26.
Definitely.
Some of the honourable mentions that didn't make either of our top 10s was The Power of Now.
Yes.
And it's all about being present. You know, there's no past, there's no future. All you've got is the now, the present.
Yeah, that's it. The power of now. It's all you ever have.
Yeah.
And I think if you grasp this concept fully, then it could, if you're not thinking about the future or the past, because a lot of people, I think he says in the book, 80% of your time is thinking about what's going to come in the future or what's been in the past.
Yep.
So you could live your whole life not actually being in the moment.
Which is a ridiculous way to live.
Yeah, so that, there's a lot of value in this book.
Yeah, I love it. Mate, another one that didn't make it is Think and Grow Rich, which is, for some people, it will be their number one book. For us, it wasn't our number ones. There was some good stuff in there, though, for sure.
Good shit.
For some reason, the only thing I remember is don't get whipped by a little black boy. That's the main thing I remember about how his uncle got whipped.
Mate, for me, and I didn't put notes on this one, but it was like more the law of attraction stuff, which I'm unattracted to.
Yeah.
Ironically, it's, the idea that a lot of the takeaways people get from this book is they can sit in their room and just think about growing rich or think of a tax lotto ticket popping up.
Yeah.
And it's not going to work like that.
No, agreed. But there's definitely, mate, there's some serious positives.
Some good shit in there.
Serious positives in there.
Yeah. Another one for me, man, which didn't make it, was Mate.
Yes. So we did a book called The Game back in season 1, which is about special tactics and tricks and maneuvers to get girls.
It's all about
trick
tricks.
them. Yeah. But The Mate was all about just being a generally good all-round dude.
Yeah. So it's an evolutionary psychology point of view from it. So how did, the female species evolve to be attracted to males?
Yeah.
And it starts from that perspective as opposed to being at a bar and just fucking, just tricking them.
Doing some magic tricks or palm reading.
Yeah.
But this was like just, be physically healthy, be friendly, be humorous, be stable and successful.
Yeah.
Just be a good dude and people will be naturally attracted to you. So I reckon that was a good one.
Definitely. Mate, another one, The Corporation, which has been very pertinent to what I've been going through this year, but it's all about how corporations' interests are for the stockholders, and it is their job to make as much money for the shareholders as a moral imperative, as opposed to them having some kind of obligation to externalities. So it gives a very good understanding of why externalities are as they are, and they just get fucked and just like swept under the rug.
Basically, he's just saying that, and we spoke to Joel Bakan as well as doing the book, and they're just saying that, look, it's not individuals' fault, it's not specific companies' fault, it's just the whole system. The way that corporations are designed is just flawed. Like, it just forces them to be purely money focused and forget about all the other negatives.
Mate, they're legally obliged to just do what's best for shareholders, and that's all it comes down to. So,
which is almost always going to be wrong for everything else. Yeah,
exactly. So if you got the Great Barrier Reef, or you got a kind of reef, and if it's got some oil underneath, and the company knows about it,
mate, fuck the reef.
They're legally obliged to fuck the reef. Yeah, go and dig the oil up because it's the best interest of the shareholder.
It's not good.
Yeah.
It's not good whatsoever.
Yeah,
mate, one that didn't make it for our top 10s was the one we just did last weekend, A More Beautiful Question. I didn't really like it as I read it, but I liked that, answers are everywhere and it's becoming more and more available, and answers and information is losing value. The only thing that has value now is asking good proper questions.
Yep, that's it. Oh, man, should we get in the top 10 now?
Yeah. Mate, I love how it grew from top 5 to top 10.
Very quickly.
So top 10. Mate, number 10 for me was start with why. So most people, when they explain things, they say what they do. And maybe they might get to how they do it, but the best way to do it is to start with why, not with what. So start with why, then how, then what. And the quote that he keeps saying throughout the book, people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely love that as well. Number 10 for me, man, was getting things done.
Yep.
And it's all about this external mind. So if it's on your mind, your mind isn't clear. So, you know, throughout the day, you can have all these things that just pop into your head. So getting things done is all about getting things out of your head onto a paper and into some external system.
Yeah.
And what he talks about is capture. So that's what I was just saying. Capture it out of your head.
Yep.
Clarify what it is. Organize it like by getting it in some kind of calendar. And then reflect on what you need to do during the week based on your priorities, and then engage on it.
Yeah, I love it. As you say, get it out of your head. You can stop thinking about it. The other thing I really liked from this book was the 2-minute rule, that if you find a task that is going to take 2 minutes or less, just fucking do it.
Yeah.
Don't put it off. Just do it.
It's a bigger investment for you to just like, you know, get the 2-minute thing into your and then just like putting into a later day. It's going to spend you 10 minutes just fucking planning around and fucking around with that shit.
And we spoke to David Allen. I think he was a bit sick the day we spoke to him, but it was good.
Mate, I don't think he liked us. And let's not lie.
And it wasn't the only one. It wasn't the only one.
Mate, there's a few people like that, you know, they're used to speaking to some big dog executives, and then they get on the other end of a Skype call and it's just us just fucking around.
Mate, number 9 for me was Purple Cow. Was it?
Me too.
Mate, I think that's the only time we crossed over. No, Purple Cow. Seth Godin. We obviously spoke to Seth Godin, which we'll talk about more later, but Purple Cow was all about just being remarkable. Brown cows are fucking boring. They're everywhere. Purple Cow is something you're going to tell other people about, though.
Exactly. So he talks about the way to break through the mainstream is to target the niche instead of a huge market. So we'll go really quickly. So say if you got some kind of market, it's some kind of normal distribution curve.
Yep.
So he's saying you got to target the people at the very front of that curve
yep.
and have something that stands out, like a purple cow. So then these people at the very front of the market, they can cough and then tell these other people
sneeze,
or sneeze instead of you. And the traditional way, which is quite opposite, is to just go for the whole market at once with something like TV ads and all that kind of shit. This is like fucking go to the very front, let them market the rest for you.
Yeah. And that's in anything you do. Just do things that are worth being talked about. Do something that someone else is going to tell someone about. I loved it. Mate, number 8 for me is the lean startup, which I think is in your top 5. So we'll save that one.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Number 7 for you?
Number 7, mate, what was number 8 for you? Click moment.
Yes.
We'll save that for my top 5. Mate, number 7 for me is good to great. Was that in your top 10 or not?
No.
Mate, so good to great. I really liked it. It was all about businesses. He compared businesses that way outperformed like 3x their competitors and compared them to just average companies. And he came up with 6 things that really differentiated
Definitely.
them.
One of the big takes away for me was first who, then what. So it's about getting the right people on the bus.
Yep.
And then figuring out where the bus is going, other than some big fucking, the CEO coming in and choosing where the bus goes. Get the right people to choose for you.
Yeah, no, that's it. Get a whole bunch of good people on the bus rather than just get one driver.
And the other one for me was the idea of level 5 leadership.
Yeah.
So level 4, I won't say 1, 2, or 3, but level 4 was the people who are the show ponies or whatever for a big company.
Yeah.
Whereas level 5, they got this great mix of professional will but personal humility.
Yes.
And where you're going to find a level 5 leader is where you see great results, but no one steps up to the front to claim them.
Yes.
They're always in the back and they're humble about things, so they don't jump to the front.
I love it, man. That's exactly what you want. You don't just want the guy who's up there taking the credit for everything. You want someone who's actually doing shit and doesn't care about the credit.
Mate, for a lot of people, that'll be number 1 book of all time, and I completely understand it.
Yeah. The only thing is, just after the book, they all crashed. But other than that, mate, number 7 for you?
7 Habits.
Sorry,
mate.
We might save that one for a bit later. Mate, what was number 6 for you then?
Mate, this was very difficult to not put in the top 5.
Yeah.
It was Pale Blue Dot.
Ooh.
And for this book, for me, man, 90% of it was a lot of fat.
Yep.
But that 10%, if I look back on it retrospectively, then it had a huge impact on me.
Mate, it didn't make my top 10, but just, mate, when he talks about the sheer size of the universe and how completely insignificant our little day-to-day shit is just does not matter.
That's it, man. For me, it was just all about perspective taking. So many of the debates in history of science seem to be, contests over which humans are the most special. If you look back through all the history. So if you look at this premise, though, and closely examine it, it turns out dishearteningly, in many cases, that we're not that special.
Yeah.
We're not that much. We're inconsequential. We're a thin film of life on an obscure and solitary lump of rock on metal. So essentially a piece of shit on the side of the road in the cosmos.
Mate, there must be more life out there. I'm sure we'll find it one day.
And mate, the second one for me on that book was like, so he took the book, a photo from millions of miles away, and this is the perspective he wrote the book on.
Nice.
But from this perspective, no one is coming, And at the moment, we are fucking ourselves. We think we are important. But as I said, we're a little piece of shit on the side of the galaxy. And if we fuck ourselves as a species, we fuck ourselves, man.
Yep.
No one's coming.
That's true.
Deep shit,
mate. So your number 6 didn't make my top 10. My number 6 didn't make your top 10. The Switch by Chip and Dan Heath. And as you said, we're going to speak with Dan Heath about their new book, The Power of Moments. But for me, I just love the structure of the book, man. They had this, this metaphor of the rider and the elephant and blah, blah, blah. But basically you need to, if you ever want to make change, you need to direct the rider, which is your rational brain. You need to motivate the elephant, which is your emotions and stuff. And then you need to shape the path, which is the environment around you. Man, I just love the structure. I reckon Chip and Dan Heath are just geniuses.
Mate,
love
it's
them.
good content and that stuff.
Yeah.
Man, so
we'll get into it. The top 5.
Top 5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Number 5 for me is Millionaire Fastlane, which we'll save that.
5 for me, man, was Daring Greatly.
Actually, that didn't make my top 10.
Didn't it?
No. But
Can you get a fucking honourable mention for you? But for me, it's like, so the whole purpose of the book is a phrase, daring greatly, from Theodore Roosevelt's speech, Citizenship in the Republic, or better known as Man in the Arena.
Yep.
So what this quote is all about, it's not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles or where the doer of good deeds can done better. The credit belongs to actually the man in the arena whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes short again and again. Yeah.
Mate, that's basically... don't listen to the people who's on the sidelines just throwing out insults and throwing out criticism. Forget about them. The only people you should care about is the people who are in the arena doing it themselves, and you need to get your fucking ass in the arena.
Yeah, mate, that for me, the whole book is all about the invitation. Just step in the arena. And she talks a lot through the book about the idea of vulnerability. So a lot of people say, sitting on the sidelines might have this mask on. Yeah. Just fucking show who you are. Yeah. Hop in the arena, show your shit, whatever that might be.
Take the mask off, yeah.
Take the mask off and just fucking, cop
Mate,
it.
I don't know where I thought... so we talk a lot about the little bitch. Don't be a little bitch. I thought it started with this book, but listening back, it actually started way back at the Power of Now song, which was like our second episode. We talked about the little bitch.
Mate, this book is all about the little bitch.
And it's gonna feature even more heavily. So don't be a fucking little bitch. Get in the arena.
Yeah, just hop in, you little fucking cunt.
Mate, so number 4 for me was the click moment, which I think you said was number 8 for you. I really like this. Frans Johansson we also interviewed, which I thought was sick as well. And he talked about there's sort of 3 things. So you need purposeful bets. So place a few little bets here or there. Try different things, see what works and what doesn't work. And when one of your purposeful bets, when you see this click moment, which is where things start to all tie together and you think, actually, you know what, something's seriously happening here, that's when you double down that bet and let the third thing, which is complex forces, let that take over.
Yeah. And the big premise this book is based on is that success is random. Yes. And this is very different to, say, Malcolm Gladwell's opinion. Yeah. What was, the 10,000 hour rule, where you just focus all this time and eventually you get mastery at it. Yeah. He says, if you look at someone like Richard Branson, he didn't have 10,000 hours worth of experience in Virgin. Yeah. He just took some bets, took some risks, and some risks pay off and some don't. So it's all about finding the minimum executable step to, test an idea. And you might have multiple of these ideas on the go. As soon as something starts to work out, double down on that. Yes. Fuck everything else off and then just fucking go for it.
And that's it. Don't bet everything on one. Split it into 10 different bets. And, 1/10, but on 10 different bets, due to randomness, they're not all going to work. One of them might work. That's where you double down. I love it.
Mate, such a good book. And the reason that probably didn't get number 5 for me was, top 5 for me was because of my number 4, Lean Startup, which is quite similar.
Very similar and work perfectly together, I reckon. If you're going to read them both. Yeah,
read them both. So the biggest takeaway for me from this book was the idea of the minimum viable product.
Yes.
So with this... a business case, if you got an idea you want to pursue or anything like that, you're going to have some things that are leap of faith assumptions
Yep.
because of this, and some things that are just purely facts.
Yeah.
And what the riskiest elements to your idea or business idea or whatever it is that the leap of faith assumptions.
Yeah, exactly. So you need to, when you've got these leap of faith assumptions, you might have a few of them. You need to build your MVP, your minimum viable product. So do something that's cheap, do something that's quick, get it out there early, and just say, you know what, is my leap of faith assumption correct? If it's correct, you persevere with it and go hard. If it's wrong, then you pivot, and that's where you try the next thing to test the next leap of faith assumption.
Yeah, so you don't wait for perfection with your idea, and you don't wait, 1 year and spend all your money, time, and energy on something. Let it be vulnerable and let it be, something very minimal.
Yes.
And then from that, you get some data and some feedback based on what you wanted it to be.
Yeah.
And then from there, you can pivot and build it and so forth.
Mate, the reason why the book was 8 for me, not in the top 5, was I think it was very tech focused, and it was very sort of, I don't know, it got too specific in some points, but I like the idea. It can be applied to anything where don't just spend heaps and heaps of money and heaps of time. Just do something basic, do something cheap, do something simple and quick, and get it out there and test some shit first before you go too hard. So it's phenomenal.
For me, best business book of all time.
Wow. No, that's fair, actually. Mate, number 3 for me was Predictably Irrational. Mate, did that not make your top 10?
No.
Oh, you're a fucking dog. Mate, Predictably Irrational. We'll talk about our interview with Dan Ariely later on, but I loved the book, man. I loved how it was very academic, and books like we did Thinking Fast and Slow last season were very academic but a bit dry, whereas this, I feel like he nailed the execution of it. He had some phenomenal academic stuff, but did it for the perfect, lamos like us who can read it and understand it. And some of the things I really loved were about relativity, how we don't judge anything as absolute, it's all relative to something else. Social norms versus market norms, the power of free, arousal, that was important.
Yeah, maybe the social norms, that was probably the biggest takeaway from me. Yeah. So, social norms are wrapped up in their social nature, need for community, instant paybacks are not required.
Yes.
Whereas market norms, there's nothing warm and fuzzy about it. Exchanges are sharp edged. So sometimes, say for a present for someone's birthday, you're better off giving social norms. They're going to give greater value than a $50, I don't know, Myers voucher.
Yeah, you give any present that's worth $50 is going to be better than giving a $50 note. Whatever present it is, it doesn't even matter what it is, but that present worth $50, people see it as you've actually taken some time and effort to think about what's going to be important to them rather than just slinging a $50 note.
Totally, man. And the influence of arousal might get a mention later.
Mate, what was your 3?
Number 3 for me, man, was The Startup of You.
Ooh,
and I said
again,
before,
that didn't make my top 10.
It was the best business book of all time. Startup. What was it?
Lean Startup.
Lean Startup.
Yep.
And this is by far the best career advice that I've ever come across.
Yeah, man, it's good shit, the old Startup of You. It didn't make my top 10, but some of the things, I really like the ABZ planning. How he says, go for it.
So plan A is you need to make minor adjustments as you learn.
Yep.
So a good plan A, which is essentially your day-to-day job, offers flexibility to pivot to a range of possibilities of plan Bs.
Yeah, and he calls it almost ready, aim, fire, aim, fire, aim, fire. So keep going. Yeah.
So plan B is you to keep one foot on the ground whilst the other is pivoting to an adjacent niche.
Yeah.
And the way to do this is to start things on the side. So this is where the big thing is side projects come in.
Yes.
And over time, your plan B, which is your Saturday morning side hustle, can slowly become your plan A. So your plan B, it might be closer to your passion. And I think this is, man, in my opinion, the best way and maybe even the only way of ending up working in something you're passionate about.
Yeah. No, that's fair. No, that's
and plan Z is when...
Plan Z is if you just completely fuck up. Then
everything fucks up.
Basically, says a bad plan Z is when you move home with your mum, sleep on the couch and eat 2-minute noodles. That's a bad plan Z.
And if you're in a developing country, the worst case scenario is you're not going to be hungry and you're not going to be homeless in most cases. Anyway.
Yeah, exactly. So it's sort of like, if you need a plan Z, which is if everything else fucks up, you got something as a backup. Yeah.
And the other big thing here, so as we haven't said yet, but the whole book is about treating your career as if you're a startup. And one of the big things he takes from the startup world into your career is the idea of permanent beta.
Yeah.
And this is, essentially a lifelong commitment to continuous personal growth and learning.
Yeah. And that's it. That beta version, as opposed to the alpha, I guess. The beta is, it's not quite ready. It's not quite done. It's always testing new things. It's always slightly, there's always something to improve. And that's how you need to approach everything in life, is just always as a test, always something to improve, always something to grow on. Mate, what's number 2 for you? I forget.
Influence.
Mate, number 2 for me as well. Phenomenal book.
Yep. Next level, man, especially in the world of sales, or if you're just a person not in sales and you don't want to be sold to. You don't want to be a sucking little bitch.
Mate, for sure. Mate, that little bitch comes up again. Mate, Influence, the Psychology of Persuasion. I reckon it's so widely applicable. There was 6 things as how you persuade people.
Mate, I'll go into a few. The first one for me was reciprocation.
Yeah, reciprocity, lovely.
So one way of looking at this is, say, if you're some guys at a bar buying a girl drinks. Yeah. So when a guy buys you a drink all night, if you're a girl, he may be unconsciously trying to get you obligated to get your pants off. Yeah. And this happens in a lot of areas.
This guy sounds like a fucking cunt, whoever he is.
Probably like 99% of dudes. But
Mate, but it's seriously powerful stuff, the old reciprocity. If you give someone some kind of gift or do someone a favour, it's just, even if they don't want it, they just feel obligated and obliged to give you something back.
So, mate, I'm going to Indonesia in a few days, but again, if you look at some of the young little bracelet girls, they go around giving you free bracelets, and then you honestly feel very obligated to give them money in some way.
Mate, the one who got me last year in Indo was the girl who she knew every capital of every country in the world. And I asked her what the capital of Burkina Faso was, and she even knew that. It was Ouagadougou. It was phenomenal. I was like, mate, who is this chick? Anyway, mate, some of the other ones were social proof, in that if everybody else is doing it, you feel obliged to do it yourself. Yeah. Authority is if you see a dude in a suit crossing the road, then you think, oh, it's all right, I'll cross the road. But if you see a hobo with no shoes crossing the road, you probably don't feel so obliged. Yeah. And the other one was commitment and consistency. Is if you make some kind of decision, or if you have this identity, then you always want to do things that are consistent with your identity.
Yeah.
Mate, it's fucking
good stuff, book. Man. One I want to delve a little bit deeper on was your social proof. Yeah. Was pluralistic ignorance. I really love this concept, man. So when we're unsure of ourselves and the situation is unclear or ambiguous, when uncertainty reigns, we are more likely to look and accept the actions of others as correct. Yes. And I think you've spoken about this before, where you're walking down the street, and if you stop and start looking and pointing into the air, and you get 2 others, everyone else starts stopping.
Yeah, exactly. If you just do it by yourself, you're probably not going to have that much effect. But if you have 2 or 3 mates who all do it, then everyone else is going to look up. Yeah. And the same as there was in the book, I remember he talked about how, if you hear someone screaming in the hallway, and you're sitting in a room with 6 people, if no one gets up, you probably stay. But if one person gets up, you probably go up.
It's much darker than that. I think it was in the US 10 years ago. There was some chick getting stabbed on the street. Yeah. And like no one did anything. People. So 30 fucking, it's not funny, is it? For 30 fucking people didn't do anything about it. They just watched this chick get stabbed.
That's not good.
Yeah, mate. Number 1 for you?
Mate, number 1 for me was 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, the first episode of season 2. Loved it. It's probably been, ever since I read it, it's been my number 1 book, and has been ever since.
Mate, the biggest takeaways for me by far, ever since the first time I read it, was all about being proactive. We have the unique ability of self-awareness, so we can think through our own, thought processes, and highly proactive people can recognise that they're responsible for their own actions. Yeah.
Mate, some of the things that I loved were the circle of concern versus the circle of influence. Too many people are just concerned about so many things, about what they see on the news, but they can't actually have any impact or any proactive influence over it. So their circle of influence is way smaller than their circle of concern, which is a bad place to be in.
Totally, mate. And another one for me was beginning with the end in mind. So this is the first time I probably really thought about it, as obvious as it is, but you're going to fucking cark it one day. You're actually going to die. So, if you look at it from the perspective of your own funeral, what do you want your life to be about? And think about it now before it's too late, because at some stage in your life, you're going to have 1 week to live. It's going to be toward the end. So, and you're going to have these thoughts going through your mind then. You're better off thinking about it now and being proactive about these thoughts, as opposed to waiting until you're fucking, you're pretty much cooked.
That's powerful stuff, man. 2 other ones I liked was, firstly, seek first to understand, then to be understood. Too many people just when you're talking to someone, you're just thinking of the next thing that you're going to say, which is not a good place to be. And you want to be, firstly, understanding the other person first, not just thinking, what am I going to do? What am I going to say? Understand where they're coming from. And the other one I liked was the 4 quadrants, the 2 axes of urgency versus importance. So, yes, you need to do the things that are urgent and important, but it's also good to do the things that are important but not urgent. That's your quadrant 2. Whereas things that, you can do them whenever, but they're so important, that's what's really going to add to your productive capacity.
Yeah, mate, and a book of absolute gold.
Mate, phenomenal book.
Mate, should we go on with number 1?
Give your number 1.
So,
absolute.
Mate, for me, if you had told me this book was my number 1 before the season, I would have said, fucking...
Mate, even before you read the book, just looking at the cover.
Looking at the cover, I was like, an absolute piece of shit. So it's the Millionaire Fastlane.
Mate, and we interviewed MJ as well. And, mate, I read this, I don't know, 2 or 3 years ago. It's pretty much fucked my life ever since. In the best way possible.
We were chatting before this
We had some
podcast,
deep psychoanalysis.
and I was telling you how this fucked your life. But anyway, it sounds like a materialistic book, but it's not at all. Like anyone who knows
Millionaire
me,
Fastlane, it sounds tacky.
Totally, man. Anyone who knows me personally, I'm not a very materialistic guy. And this book is not all about that. It's not about getting cash to buy the Lambo.
No.
It's all about choosing the right path to control your own life and your own time.
Essentially, there's 3 ways you can live your life. One is the sidewalk, and that's saying that you're always spending more than you earn. You're always on credit. You're always just buying shit that you don't need, and you're always just going way beyond your expenses. It doesn't matter how much money you earn. You can be a basketballer earning 10 mil a week and just spending it all.
And mate, and number 2, and this is where the biggest paradigm shift was, is life in the slow lane.
Which is most people, yeah.
Another way of him saying that is wealth in the wheelchair, get rich slow is get rich old.
Yeah.
So this whole idea, which is probably the mainstream, is, go to school, get good grades, graduate, get a job, save 10%. Sorry. Then someday when you are 65 years old, you'll be rich.
Yeah. And that's what we're all taught is that, work hard, keep your head down, do the minimum, but, do a good job. Work hard, and eventually, when you retire, you might have a lot of money. But MJ is saying that you got a lot of money, but you're fucking old and you can't do anything with it.
That's right.
Yeah.
So wealth is best lived in the prime of your life. Not wait until you're, 65 years old. There is another way of being able to have control when you're much younger.
And that's the third option, which is the fast lane. Yeah. And essentially just taking that 50 years of hard work, compressing it into 5 years of hard work. Yeah, you're probably not going to have a social life for a couple of years.
Yep.
You're going to be doing things that everyone else is going to the bar, drinking cocktails on a Friday night, and you're at home working on your side project and working fucking hard. But that's where all the money's coming from.
So this, maybe 4 to 10 years will be a 7 and 0 trade where you're trading 7 days to working on something until the point where you can, have control of your life. Whereas the other way is the trade is 5 and 0. So he talks a lot about like prostitution.
Yeah.
You're prostituting your time.
Yeah.
So they're miserable between Monday and Friday, 8 hours a day, and you're genuinely miserable. And you're trading in this just so you can enjoy your weekend. And this is where a lot of people do the whole, thank God it's Friday, because they've traded their whole week.
And they can go and get fucked up on a Friday.
Yep.
Yeah. Mate, it's a powerful book. Powerful book.
And at the same time, man, he says a slow lane victory is a gamble of hope. So he talks about a survey where 69% of people said they have to work past retirement, and 45% of people will have to work in their 70s and 80s.
Yeah.
So this whole slow lane idea that we're really born with and pushed into through school, it's a crock of shit.
It's a powerful book. And I feel like it's a book that like it could fuck you up for 5 years, but it can set you on the right path, which is where I'm halfway through that.
So it's made you used to be very well onto the You got the fucking perfect grades.
Yeah.
And
always working hard, doing the traditional path.
You read this book and you became a fucking cunt of an employee.
One of the worst employees.
Doing biz.
That's a powerful book.
Yeah, it is.
I should have had it higher up.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's phenomenal, mate. So I think that's it for our books. Yeah, that's our top 10 books.
Yeah.
So next we have the interviews. And so we've talked about a few of them. We talked about NJ DeMarco from the Fastlane. We talked about Frans Johansson from the Click Moment. We talked about David Allen from Getting Things Done, Joel Bakan from The Corporation. Mate, one of my honourable mentions that we're going to do our top 3 interviews was JP Sears, who is a bit of a viral sensation, social media star, the ranger with the long hair who does things about taking the piss out of vegans and stuff like that. But the thing that I really liked from our discussion with him was some random analogy we made up about the message versus the messenger, and about something about a baby sucking a nipple, the milk, and I don't even remember what it was, but basically that
there's three different ways.
Yeah,
the baby is you.
Yeah,
and you're sucking milk.
Yeah,
out of a titty.
You need a good titty, and essentially it's like like so. You and I, we can talk about the same things that Seth Godin is saying. The milk's the same, the baby's the same, but that nipple of Seth Godin is way much better than us.
Seth Godin's got double D's. And we're just like this flat fucking 14-year-old. So our milk is as good as Seth Godin's because we read his book. But his titties are fucking beautiful.
I think that's where we're going. And same with JP. Like he's built up this, where he's got, millions and millions of followers online. And he's this dude that same messages a lot of other people are saying, but he's got some good titties.
Yeah, very nice titties.
So I like that.
Yeah.
Mate, what about Steve Keen? mate, he was a good dude. We fucked up on the day.
Yeah, it was our first live interview, man.
First in person, yeah.
We were probably maybe a little bit nervous, I don't know.
Yeah.
But we rocked up to the hotel. We were waiting for about 40 minutes. He was waiting in another room.
We're probably 10 to 12 metres away from each other, but both waiting for each other.
And he cracked the shits when he came in. We were drawing dicks on the with all this big fucking, top floor apartment building in Melbourne. We were drawing dicks on a whiteboard.
Oh, mate, he was not happy when he rolled in.
Nah.
Mate, and I think he directed it mostly at you, which is fine for me. He absolutely fucking unleashed on you.
Oh, well.
But basically, Steve Kane in the book, Can We Avoid Another Financial Crisis? Mate, Australia's in a fucking bubble.
We're cooked.
The debt to GDP ratio is completely out of hand. Something about 230% or something from memory, where Australia's debt is just, it can't be paid by our GDP, and it keeps going up and up. Eventually, it's got to pop.
Yeah, and it's not just Australia. It's like before the global financial crisis. So this is his metric. It's like private income to private debt kind of thing.
Yeah.
And the countries that had the highest of this ratio before the global financial crisis they got blown out of the water. Yeah. Right now, it's Australia, I think China.
Yeah. There's a few of them that he talked about.
Australia's cooked.
Yeah. Mate, one I liked, Chris Gillibo, he did a book, The $100 Startup, which you didn't like too much, I don't think.
No, it was a piece of shit.
Mate, we're a couple of Jimmies in, so we can unleash on the truth.
I don't think he's listening. We were polite during the interview.
Mate, I reckon he's got some decent stuff. I didn't love the book, but his book, The Side Hustle, which is a new one, and I'm actually going to go to his event 15th of January in Melbourne. If anyone wants to tag along, he's coming to Melbourne to talk about the side hustle. But I like that he said, this side hustle idea or the $100 startup idea. You don't have to just quit your job and invest all your money and take on heaps of debt. Just do something cheap, do something on the side, and eventually might build up to something serious. I like that idea a lot.
Yeah, the idea is good, man.
Mate, I also like the idea of the monkeys in the cage thing, how, we've got these perceived barriers, but they're not really there. It's just been passed down from the previous generation that thinks, there's a cage here, so they tell us that we're in a cage, but we're fucking not.
Yeah, it's like, it's exactly the same as a learned helplessness. I forget where this came up again in another book.
Yeah. Yeah,
but,
it came up somewhere.
I think it's the example I'm thinking of, if you got fleas in a jar, you put the barrier on top of the fleas, the fleas start to learn that their limit is below the barrier of the jar.
Yes.
Take the jar off, and then the fleas, still think their limit.
High enough, yeah.
So it's this idea of learned helplessness. I think everyone listening, and including ourselves, everyone is capable of pretty much anything.
Yes.
Our biggest limit is this idea of learned helplessness. Like what we learn, our limits are, and that's where we're fucking, we're cut off.
Yep, exactly. No, that's so true, man. So if anyone wants to come along, 15th of Jan in Melbourne, I'll be there. Naomi Simpson as well was another one we did, a Shark on Shark Tank. Man, I liked her idea of, again, the same sort of thing. Work out what's best for you. If you want to go into business, work out, is it best for you to just, quit, go all in, invest everything, or is it best to do a little side hustle on the side? Work out which way is going to work for you.
That's good stuff.
Have you got any honourable mentions before the top three?
Nah, man, you fucking...
Number three.
Number three, man, for me was big Jono.
John Perkins.
Yeah.
The
Jonathan
New Confessions
Perkins.
of an Economic Hitman was the book, and mate, he delivered.
It's good chatting. So this is a dude who hangs out with Vladimir Putin, ex-CIA dude.
He goes around the world, and I don't know, mate, in the past he just used to fuck up countries, but he realised that it wasn't quite right, yeah?
Yeah, exactly right. So just quickly on his process, he'd go in, his job was to go into a developing country, convince them why they needed to get in so much debt, and then he would help them get into debt to US corporations and the government. So in this country, if they defaulted on the debt, they were owned by these companies.
Yes. Essentially, he got countries in so much debt that there was no way they could pay it back, and they were obliged to give the US anything that the US wanted. That's what it sounded like. Yeah.
But, mate, I think we're cooking it at the moment. Listen to the interview.
It's powerful shit. Mate, but I also liked even more that, he's now gone to, there's some seriously big problems in the world, and we need to focus on the big problems. So I like that he was talking about. Climate change is going to fuck us up. We need to start, having a look at it.
Wake the fuck up, essentially. See what's going on, man.
Mate, his book was an absolute wake up, and the interview was an absolute wake up.
We were shitting ourselves. I was actually shitting myself reading the book.
Yes.
I was thinking because in his book, there's so many times there'll be, someone just gets killed.
Someone just randomly gets hit by a bus.
Mate, and I was thinking, in our emails, we're emailing with him. Surely someone's watching these two idiot Adam dudes.
Mate, we went and had lunch and then came back to do the interview. Mate, I remember I had to pull over on the way home and had a month. I was like, fuck, I've got poison at lunch before the interview.
Yeah, I thought we were cooked, man. But we're here now, so that's good.
Yeah. Mate, number 2 for both of us, I think, was Seth Godin. Mate, absolute bloody legend.
Yeah.
I think he's my number one idol, absolutely. And the stuff he gave us was phenomenal.
Mate, it's one of those things, man. Before we started the podcast, I would have loved to have seen Seth Godin.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have dreamed of it, but...
Yeah. I think it's worth... we can't even give it justice in a 1-minute review. Just go back and listen to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's another one of those things, man, where we don't ask the best questions. We're not the best questions.
Yeah.
We just give a half thing, and then he just comes up
gold.
with some of the biggest piece of wisdom I've ever heard in my life.
I'm actually going to go back and listen. I reckon I listened to it 12 times in the first 2 days. It was up, and then I'm going to go back and listen again.
Yeah.
Man, and number 1 was probably Dan the Man, Dan Ariely. A couple of weeks ago, went up to Sydney, went to his hotel room, had a couple of cheap wines, which he didn't like our cheap wine, but we went to the ballet with him, and man, he was a fucking legend. Had some absolute gold to drop as well.
Yeah, one of the cleverest dudes, definitely the cleverest dude I've ever met personally, and mainly his humility, man, which I really remember.
Mate, I love that. Just if you listen back about procrastination and short-term gratification versus long-term success is just a seriously important thing to take note of, and yeah. Mate. Oh, also check out his Netflix doco.
Oh,
as well.
Dude,
Dishonesty.
That's phenomenal.
That's a great 90 minutes you can spend rather than you can read the full book, which will probably take you 10 or 12 hours, or watch the Netflix doco. It's phenomenal.
Yeah, it's good stuff, man.
Yeah,
so that's it, man. That's a serious, a lot of good content. I hope we didn't skim across the surface.
Yeah,
too much.
Hopefully, there's a good taste you can dive back into. Some of the best stuff, the best books, the best interviews. Mate,
we were saying before this show, man, if you had told me that number 10 was going to be Getting Things Done, I wouldn't have believed you. I would have thought Getting Things Done would have been top 2, if not top 1. But we've come across 9 absolute game-changing, life-changing books, man, with no doubt.
Mate, we've done some seriously phenomenal books. I think there's some good ones to come as well.
Yeah, without a doubt, man.
Mate, I think we just... we appreciate everyone listening in, hanging on. We had some bit of shit audio. We've got the new mics now, so from now on, all the episodes are going to sound pretty schmick, I reckon.
Yeah.
And yeah, hopefully the quality keeps increasing. We're a couple of Jack Daniels and Johnny Walker gold labels in now, but normally we won't be.
We let ourselves go on the end of season now. But man, that's absolutely huge. Like the people who have been listening and actually emailed us and all that from the very start, when at the very start not many people listening, now might be a little bit different.
Yeah, that's it, man. Just 2 dudes reading a few books, talking some shit, and obviously some people liked it, which is great, and we seriously appreciate it. As a quick reminder, the competition, whatyouwilllearn.com/contest. You can there's 3 ways to enter. You can enter 3 times. What else? Check out the Patreon. We'd love to get a few people in, and just cheers for everything.
Yeah, it's good shit.
So that's good. We can anyone who doesn't like the songs can drop off now.
Yeah,
because we know there's some people who fucking hate the songs.
Yeah,
but if you like the songs, hang around.
Mate, every song, man, we don't really put any thought into it. We just play and just keep it raw. So now though, I think we've got a little bit of cream.
Yeah,
I'd say.
I feel like
subjective cream.
I don't know. It sort of feels like the songs are getting better. I don't know if they are or not, but that's one thing we found from the survey we did was that some people like it, some people fucking hate it. But mate, the songs it's literally our process for doing a song is we go into YouTube royalty-free audio. We find just a tune with no lyrics, and we think, oh yeah, that song kind of sounds like the book, and then we hit play, hit record, and just go for it. Singing. Just freestyle.
I think they can understand that. We got some low quality shit as well.
Mate, you reckon people don't realise that it's not scripted? It's just fully off the dome.
No, not really, man. We'll play. What's our third best song, man?
What were our top 3 songs? I think number 3 probably Predictably Irrational, and mainly because of part of the book was about the influence of arousal and chick with titties, I'm stiff, and choking people.
I think I'll get an idea when it comes in, man.
Yep.
What you gonna do when you're predictably irrational, baby? Daniel Ariely. What is the truth? What is the truth? What is the truth about general relativity?
General relativity, we compare everything to everyone else, everything.
Now chapter 2 was fallacy of supply and demand, boy.
Anchor. Everything's an anchor. When everything's an anchor, then everything's an anchor.
Now the cost is zero cost. It certainly is, and zero is the cost.
Most expensive sex is free sex. Pay for sex, it's much easier sex.
What about if you go to your mother-in-law's well to pay her $50 for that roast chicken on a Sunday night?
Make it $60, maybe that will be better.
Now the influence of arousal. There's a chick with titties, I'm stiff.
Go and have a wank, and then you're gonna do some fucked up shit. You're gonna like animals, you're gonna like the 12-year-old girls, and then you might choke somebody.
What if I owned it? What if I owned it? What if I owned that piece of land?
Get endowed. You don't want to lose that. Just gain. Don't lose. Just gain.
Now keep the doors open or your ships will burn, 'cause the Chinese captain's gonna kill your mern.
Shut the doors. Shut the doors.
Shut the doors, we are irrational. We're not very rational.
Predictably Irrational by Daniel Ariely.
We're not irrational. No, we're not irrational. No, we're not.
Man, I didn't realise we were finished nearly polishing off a whole bottle of Jack Daniels 22 standards plus the Johnny Walker before. But I guess if you listen to the episode, the animal stuff and the 12-year-old girl stuff in a bit more context would make sense.
I really hope people listen to the episode and get the context
Otherwise
between you choking chicks.
12-year-old girl. Jesus. Yeah, that's part of the episode.
Context in the book.
Mate, number 2, one of the earlier episodes of season 2.
Yeah.
The Power Now. Be my teacher Eckhart.
Yeah, he's a good teacher, Eckhart.
Is it Eckhart Tolle or Eckhart Tolle?
Oh, mate, let's try and figure that out.
Eckhart was depressed on his bed one day. He was gonna kill himself, and then he did, and he just fell back, and the light came through on himself. And now
Started watching ducks on the lake. He bought a cat. The cat was a Zen master.
the cat taught him to just sit in the present. The future or the past ain't never gonna arrive now.
Eckhart Tolle, I don't know how to say his name. The power of now, just be present in the now.
Eckhart, teach me how you live in the now. Be my teacher, Eckhart, be my teacher, Eckhart.
Nobody knows what's good or bad. Just ask a Chinese farmer, he'll tell you to wait and see.
The ego is your enemy, the ego ain't gonna do shit for you. It ain't doing shit for you now.
Your mind's a little bitch, don't listen to what it says. Women are more spiritual because they have periods.
The menstrual flow,
Release the pain.
release the pain and then never complain. If you're sitting in line, just sit and wait in the present, in the present.
If someone says to you, I'm sorry for keep you waiting, then say to them, I wasn't waiting, I was just enjoying myself in the now.
In the now, turning suffering into consciousness and disaster into enlightenment.
we are fucking rock stars. We are rock stars.
Mate, time will tell. Time will tell.
No, I guess if people have listened this far, they must be keen. So
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks.
We cooked. Mate, that burger was massive. Too many onion rings and sweet
Mate,
potato
we
fries.
said before, like, you know, our time eating it will be about 60% enhanced,
Yeah.
and next 7 hours after it will be 70%
I'm feeling pretty-
de-enhanced.
I'm feeling pretty unpleasant right now.
De-enhanced?
Yeah,
I'm
negative.
feeling pretty de-enhanced.
Mate, the final song. It's been a long app, 50 minutes.
Yeah.
The final song from Daring Greatly.
Yeah, we thought we'd ended up on a, you know,
It's pretty powerful.
high note.
Is it?
Not powerful.
Is it?
Well, yeah, it's like we try to capture your energy of the book, which is you
Yeah.
know, not about being a little bitch.
Don't be a fucking little bitch.
Just go and do something.
Step into the arena. Don't listen to the cunts who are sitting on the sidelines just giving you shit.
Yeah.
Fucking step in. Don't be a little
Whatever
bitch.
that means for you. You know what? Thank you so much for listening.
Very much appreciate it. And we'll see you in a couple of days for the easy way to stop smoking.
Yeah.
And then some health shit to kick off 2018.
Yeah. Fuck, we've had a ball this season, man. And, you know,
Looking forward to the second half.
fuck oath.
Come in the arena, boy! Come in the arena, you little bitch! Don't be a critic. Don't criticize people who are in there in the arena with the blood and the mud on their face. Just go out there and step into the arena and battle.
Take off the masks you've been wearing since you were 10 years old. Show yourself. Show your stuff to the people you know. Don't be a little bitch.
Don't be a victim or a Viking. Don't be a foreboding joy. Don't be a perfectionist. Just put your stuff out there and be vulnerable and dare
In the arena, it's strong and bloody in the arena. Got the spears right in your face and your ass in the arena.
Or Roosevelt made a really good speech. Don't point at how the strong man
In the
struggles.
arena.
Don't point at where the doer of deeds could have done them better. Be the man in the arena whose face is marred by blood and sweat and dust. Who strives and errs, who's short and short again. Always errors and shortcomings.